Hi everybody, this is Mia. This is part 2. In part 1 I did talk about an undiagnosed developmental disease for myself with some other hints that I've shared of the ADHD diagnosis as an adult and just struggling through school. I had somebody who wasn't a doctor, who's now a doctor, diagnosed me with dyslexia, and I asked, how do you, in the last video, if there's a multi-million-dollar houses on top, there's homelessness on the bottom, there's, $80,000 to, $750,000 houses here that are literally cheaper to buy than to rent, even if you have taxes, insurance, extra insurance, maintenance, remodel, repair the roof. I don't know. I'm not adding in a lot of HOA fees and all that. Having to replace the septic, obviously. You can't replace. So how much is it? $20,000? Oh, how much am I paying in rent? If low income housing, let's just say we're paying $3,000 a month. We pretty much are in the cheapest places. There's 2 places though. So say we're paying $3,000, 3, 6, 9, 12. So $24,000 in 8 months. You're paying. You can. So that times 4. What did I say? 24. Let's round up to $25,000. $25,000 in 8 months. Did I do that math right? And then times 4 of those. So what? 2 years, 3 years, you would have paid $100,000 every time. And for 3 or 4 years, you're paying $100,000 in rent. So at 3, 6, 9 years, you just paid $300,000 in rent. It's just going higher and higher. Who lives in a place where the landlords fix anything? Because I don't. I mean, if it's extreme, beg to get to heating and the cooling. Cooling is not required, but you're begging to get the heater fixed. This one is a heater and a cooler, so it had to be fixed. You're begging if the oven doesn't work. You're begging if the fridge doesn't work or the plumbing doesn't work. Ooh, my fingernail. Ooh, it's broken. Danger. I was washing dishes and doing stuff, and my nails get real soft. I'm so sad right now. The developmental issues are a very vulnerable position to talk about, and then trying to talk about at the end of the last video today. Trying to stay in the middle of the road, trying to not be homeless, trying to shoot for the stars for these expensive houses because they got everything I need. Oh yeah, there's a music room, there's an art room, there's a basement with a pool table and ping pong table. Like, oh, it's got all those things that I need, and I'm going to have this separate ring for my office for my patients to come in, and I got this boat place and this fishing place and this garden place and this greenhouse place and this indoor outdoor salted pool. I've said that more than once in videos. So trying to stay in the middle, being very close to this edge, paying like you living in a $700,000 house, but living in a studio or 1 bedroom or some welfare housing somewhere, and you're getting charged so much money. And people will pay it. That's why you have neighbors. The houses are abandoned. If they abandon them, maybe they'd tear them down and put a shopping mall there, or maybe they'd put a pay lot there. Outfit. Okay, I thought this was too small. It's a little snug. Again, I said in video 1 that I'm obese. This is used when I bought it. I'm surprised it even fits. It used to be baggier, obviously, when I was 50 pounds lighter when I got it. The sleeves are so cute. I love patterns. This tie, I don't always like ties on my clothes, but I think this one is cute. Oh, it has like a pleat. It's like bent out in the back. Again, it is definitely small. It's probably a large. I thought this was going into the cell. It's crooked though. I thought it was going in the cell box. I'm not sure where I got it. I'm trying to think. It was either Goodwill. I don't think I got it in a free pile. I feel like it was probably Goodwill, but there's also a hospital over here that has a thrift store. I can't remember the name of it. There's also St. Vincent's. What's today? It's hard. We don't have a washer dryer, and we don't have a hose, and we do have vacuum, but we don't have a place like you could set upholstered furniture or regular furniture out on a porch, vacuum it, air it out, make sure there's no bugs, spray it with something. Or we don't have a place if you were to get like flower pots used or something where you could hose them out outside, let them sit in the sun, treat them with something. And we don't have a washer dryer, so you want to come home from the thrift store and wash and dry your clothes, put them in a bag may or may not work. So it's really stressful, but again, like I said in the first video, doing what I can with what I have, because if I don't have, then I won't be able to do anything. So it's a real struggle. It's a strive to want to do better. It's an overwhelming feeling like I'm drowning, which I almost did before. And you're just like, like I just need a gulp. I need a break. I need to be helped to surface. I need to be not necessarily asking for handouts, but I need like some kind of gentle, kind words, encouragement, and stop feeling like that thing at Chuck E. Cheese where you beat the mole or whatever it is with that hammer. I feel like, and when I went to come back and put this part 2 on to talk about a topic in this video, even though I have a different channel that I don't post on, I probably should, I wanted to talk about homeopathy. So switching gears from outfits to feeling like a whack-a-mole and choosing a topic because I feel like the educational aspect of doing stuff that is a lifestyle for me, but also a career. Prior to going to medical school in 2009, or I went to medical school in 2009, but prior to that in 2004, I had gone into homelessness, and sometime between 2004 and 2005, I believe, I involuntarily went to the jobs program for welfare because our housing made it mandatory for me to have, or all the residents, at least for me, to go to DHS offices and get your anything, bus passes. I used to get sometimes Shell gas cards. I think it was like $10 a month, or maybe it was $30 a month. But they're like, it's cheaper to get the bus pass, or it's more economical to get, and you literally got like 30 bus passes or something. I don't know. But anyways, the bus pass, the food stamps, and the welfare and the Medicaid. So you were required to go, or they'd kick you out of the housing, and then they'd take all your money that you got from welfare. So you'd be left. I think we were getting $400, $300, or $490. I don't know what it was, but they would take, say, like $450 or whatever, and we're left with like $40 a month. I went and so basically I had the Clean and Sober treatment, which I've disclosed to you guys before. I'm in recovery 18 and a half years in some days. Mental health counseling. I had left an abusive relationship. I had left multiple abusive relationships, so trying to get counseling. That became my so-called jobs program. Instead of the classes of how to get a job, they say you need to secure housing, you need to get a handle on your recovery, and you need to, and I had just gotten clean and sober a week before I went to the first shelter. And I had been homeless multiple times prior to that date, with and without my kids, and I had kids and our pets and all this stuff. So I ended up at Portland Community College's, they have a campus on the east side. I can't remember. The one in North Portland, or is it Northeast? I think it's Northeast Portland. They have a campus. There's like a La Tienda on this side, and there's a restaurant that I used to love to get Mexican food on the other side, right across the parking lot. I don't even know. Oh, it makes my mouth water. That place was good. If I could give them, I don't know how it is now. I'm talking years ago. That was a treat to go there and get my kids some stuff. I took my dad there. He said, "This is real food here." Like real, like on the east side. But I was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I was just thinking of, one of my teachers gave me a vase. They had bamboo. The bamboo got sick and died. He gave me the vase. I ended up giving it to my neighbor, which I thought was stupid. It was written Chinese all over it. For all I know, it was jade. I don't know, but I like this teacher. I got kind of kicked out of the class because I went to too many classes, and DHS said you have only so many hours. I had to sign like 4 or 5 Microsoft classes. Anyways, because I was taking classes there voluntarily, the jobs classes, and I was taking jobs, how to get a job, how to do resumes. I mean, this is a first for me, whether I was homeless or not. But obviously, if I had had a job and I could have gotten an apartment for $600, $650, $750 a month, if I could have, so it still took me like 3-4 years to get a job after that. That it was just one application after another, after another, after another, and you'll see me do that through my years. So I went in my alternative, I don't know if that's the right term, motive was to have, I had a lot of people saying, if you're in the jobs program, which I technically was, because I had different requirements, you were eligible to get your education funded, and you were eligible to get some daycare for your kids. So I was trying to get a job and go to school and need a daycare, and was doing the requirements to the program. So you do the requirements to, I had at one time at least 3 DHS workers. You have to do the requirements for each of them, and then you have the treatment workers. You have to do requirements for them. Mental health workers do requirements for them, and then housing case managers, you have to do the requirements for them. And I belong to a church that they signed you up to volunteer. I did the requirements for them. So 7 days a week, I was driving this raggedy car and taking the bus all over. Oftentimes at first downtown. I actually got in trouble for having moved from one side of the river to the other. The treatment center was in Southwest. I was in a program, registered in a program, which I was completing. My case manager yelled at me when we moved to North Portland, said, "You're in trouble for going to treatment out of where you live." Out of where I live? I'm on Medicaid. There's like one treatment center that took Medicaid. And I was living in Southwest when I went to treatment. And the treatment center was in Southwest. It was a shelter, a housing program and a shelter. They give you a limited amount of time to live there. And they make you get on wait lists. I got on wait lists for Century City Concern. They had houses or apartments all over the city. When you wait list number comes up, you take what they have or you get kicked off the list. So I got in big trouble for that. I got in big trouble for going to the dentist. Me and my son's teeth were rotting out. He had teeth infections all over his mouth. He had surgery, like all this stuff. Like medical emergency. We got in trouble. So I went to the jobs program, took some classes, got a flyer. They said, after I had gone outside in, prior to that, to see a naturopathic doctor in training, and then I found out that the acupuncture clinic, I did ear acupuncture first, or my neighbor took me to get a checkup and some blood tests, and she told me to go downstairs and get the acupuncture for addictions, and it was for smoking cessation, but I didn't know how good that treatment was. So when I did the JAWS program, we got a flyer that said you could see naturopathic students at this clinic set up at PCC campus in that stage room, and I was so happy. It was either free or $10 a visit for if you're in the welfare jobs program. So I was going there. I took my son once. Like I might have had to pay for his sliding scale. Back then they used to give you expired medications if you were really poor. I think they had green dots on them, and if you could afford part of it, they had like yellow dots, and the red one or whatever was like full price. But I went through and I was scared because I went through my cupboards and I had all these expired supplements, but it got me also my first homeopathic, which was Aurum, and you can look that up. When they put it in the lid, or the doctor's student put it in his hand, I'm gonna cry. And he tried to put it in my mouth or whatever, just put it under my tongue or give it to me, and he dropped one or two on the floor. I was like, "Oh, you want me to pick that up?" I was gonna like eat it off the floor, Because he's telling me it's gold, and I was thinking that it was actual gold that I was eating. Like, I didn't know it was diluted form. Oh my god, my glasses. Besides wanting to cry, my eyes are foggy. I did juice yesterday, and my glasses, I can tell like I have glaucoma or something, or cataracts. I mean, I don't have much time. So that's when I first got homeopathics. I started going to the health food stores. I was more into buying once a month Whole Foods, or before Whole Foods, Wild Oats, which was also before that Nature's in Portland, had the Aura Cassia essential oils on sale. They'd have one on sale, or they'd have one like $4.95 instead of $8.95. You know, back in the good old days when stuff was under $10. Some of them obviously were already like $8, $9, $11, $14, $15. So I would grab a couple. I'd grab one of those like every month or two. I get a little bit of deli food once in a while, and then I just go into this clinic, and I got Arum, and I went into med school, and I learned what Arum was used for, and it was really sad. Sometimes when you get homeopathy, you might not always want to know what you're taking, because if you look it up, you're like, oh my god, I messed up, you know. And then I went to naturopathic medical school, and we did several classes, and learning the like cures like, and that you're using a diluted, successed form of the original product, whether it be plant or mineral or animal, or there's one that I had was called lactaninum, which is dog milk. I had severe swelling and pain in the breast during PMS. I actually used that as a medication. I usually only used what my constitutional was, about twice a year, once or twice a year. Once in a while I get a dose, like a 200C, and I'd get a 1M. I only had my doctor prescribe a 1M once. My eyes sore and everything. So it's really emotional because it's a lot. The breast pain, like that intense in breast pain, is gone. It's resolved. I was just on a student shift where it was run by my doc, who became one of my primary doctors in real life for me and my family members. And we didn't have a patient one of the hours, and so 1 week I volunteered to have my case done, and that's what my remedy was at the time. It's changed multiple times depending on what's going on, either acute or constitutional in your life. I see it, and I was trained as the layers of an onion peeling back to get to your core. And I have, I'll go get the book. I have a very large book that I use. I have one in my other office on the other side of the country, and I have this one I got. I don't have all the little books, which I need to maybe ask my kids to send me, or just get a digital version. I should probably just get a paper book. I do have my Implex 2 study guide here. It does have some of the remedies, but not that many. It's just I can't believe that was that emotional. So basically, it's like they crush this up and shake it so many times, dump that out, put some more in, shake it up, and then it ends up in alcohol. That is dropped on sucrose and lactose. I did find last night, I have a lot of people, including myself, that are vegan or plant-based. I did find last night oleus. I'm so sorry. It's OLL something, like a something. Look for like Oli something. There's an I somewhere towards the end, and look up vegan homeopathics. So that was a good eye opener for me. I wish I do have a kit in my other office, but it's not really labeled that well. It's labeled. It doesn't really have like expiration dates. It's stuff that shouldn't expire, but it's put on this sugar, which I also don't really ingest, so that it doesn't melt. So if you were to put water on the sugar, it would just melt into a glob. So that way it can be carried. They do sell the tinctures of the homeopathics, but that would be straight up alcohol. I'd consider getting some of those, and you can make your own. Some people potentially, some people use tinctures and they will put it into warm water and try to evaporate the alcohol. I don't ingest alcohol and other tinctures like that. For the homeopathics, like I said, once or twice a year, I seem to get a remedy. I ordered some, and I'm not giving medical advice, by the way. This is my story. I ordered some when my my ankle was recently twisted. That's a really emotional thing, too, because I wasn't able to get help. Nobody was taking my insurance. It was just a runaround. They wouldn't let me come in. I was in the emergency room, and then I had an appointment like a month and a half later. Like, well, you just talk to your provider when you come in. I was like, I was just in the emergency room. I cannot follow up with them. They gave me recommendations to go to physical therapy or to go to an orthopedic provider. These people aren't accepting my insurance. I need a referral from my provider to go to the place in town that accepts my insurance. Period. And what I ended up going, they kept telling me that, make an appointment. You already have an appointment. So guess what? When I went to the appointment, all the other ailments that I had for the past 7 months, I talked about, and they're like, you need to reschedule your physical because you spent all the time talking about these acute issues. I was like, don't look at me. Like, I called. I need to make an appointment with it's not a doctor. I need to make an appointment with my doctor. I need to make an appointment with my doctor. I need to make an appointment. I'll get the book. I'm going to go ahead and drain the laundry. I was going to kind of agitate it by hand a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and drain it before the store opens. It's after 8. I hope that I can show you this book. I wanted to just touch on some of the things that are lifestyle with me. I wanted to do this more for my my channel, for my business, but I'm feeling just so normal. Like, I don't feel like I come across as professional in my videos. I'm always crying and stuff. So I'm being real on this channel. If I edit this and put it on the other channel, I don't know. I can't have two videos the same and I want a copyright issue myself. But I want to do more of this just to give people some ideas about what I do. I don't know if it was the first video or second one. I made the banana slices, but they fell apart. The bananas are all soft and stuff. Anyways, I have onion bread. It's way too salty. I don't remember putting that much salt in it. I must have dumped salt in it 2 or 3 times. I had cut out salt, and that's why I ended up gaining back 7 pounds that I lost because I reintroduced it. I have this big rectangle in the dehydrator. That's flax seeds that I soaked for a few hours. Not that long because they have pretty much absorbed all the water. They did absorb. I was pushing my finger in it, and it wasn't. Everything was just gelatinous. I had added some sliced onion or diced onion, and this morning it tastes like ant. I was like, oh my god, I hope there wasn't ants in there. Well, I accidentally ate an ant, and I know what it tastes like. I had the I'm so tired. I should have gone back to sleep, guys. I had the I think I put a little bit of kelp granules in there. I don't even know. Oh, I put some olive oil. Anyways, I put it on a sheet in the dehydrator. I was going to use this tray, but it needs to be washed. It's like a brownie cooking tray, stainless steel. When we lived in the garage, we had a toaster oven, and now it's like destroyed because critters got into it in the storage unit. I was just kind of sad. This stuff is expensive. I try to tell my partner, like, we can't really just put this stuff in the storage unit. Like, we need to either box it or put it in a plastic crate or, put it up high off the ground. I don't know. Anyways, so unsanitary. We're having an oven now. So we have these little containers still that fit in the toaster oven. So I've been using them. I had the dream to try to use some of this stuff in the toaster oven. Or I got some Pyrex or the Anchor. I can't remember which brand. That stuff seems too heavy. This dehydrator is expensive and stainless in the inside, but so plastic and flimsy. Like my trays fall on each other. And that's what happened with my other Excalibur. The stuff just broke apart. I'd open the tray up and then everything would fall apart and the trays would fall on the floor and the food would fall on the floor. You're like, that was ground buffalo jerky that I just had in there for 24 hours. And now it's like it's hard to throw it away. So you're like, I had to make sure that I sweep and mop under here. Let me drain this and grab the book. I'm trying to think about something else with homeopathy. A lot of people don't believe in it. So a lot of times I use a repertorization form, and that form is what I call a mathematical problem. So let's do myself. Right ear pain, right neck pain, right ankle pain. So right-sided. Uh, Congestion. I'd also do that. Sinus congestion. We'll just set. I should write this down because I'm like, oops. I'm like, I'll say right ear pain, right neck pain, right ankle pain. What else did I say? Congestion. Sinus congestion. You want to do a lot of mental emotional. So let's say fears for no reason, nightmares. I'll say anxious. I want to say ADHD, but this book is so old, I don't think it has it. I'll say focus and motivation. I don't know if it's necessarily motivation if you don't do your work, but I'm just going to write that. I'm trying to think if I can think of one more mental emotional. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you had something like redness, like bright red versus dull red, or if you had blueness, like you had bruising, rash. Oh yeah, I should say left foot rash. That's not right. So left foot rash, itchy. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the ADHD was kind of 10. This is a lot. Usually there's 6 or 7 key things that you would talk about, or if a patient were to say, oh, I just crave, chocolate. I just crave milk. I'm adverse to onions. I'm adverse to the sun at the beach. So sometimes you're just like, ding, ding, ding. I have a feeling I know what that is. But other times you're like, I have a feeling I know what that is, but I'm going to do the whole repertorization. So what you do is go through this big book and you look up each of those or the closest thing to it. And you end up having that be, I would say, in my mind, just estimate, like, there's top 7. So say you get one with 10 points and one with 9, 8, 7, so on. So you look up in a lot of other remedies. You look those up in your books or use your memory, and you'll say, does this look like their constitution or their issue? And you'll look them each up, and for me, I like to write a little bit about each one. And when I write a little bit about each one, sometimes you're like, ooh, this really presents a picture. It was not one. So this is why I was saying, not everyone likes homeopathy, because the way I do it, you can use a computer program, but they're like, what, thousands of dollars for the program. It takes a lot of memory. You can see these constitutions, like I said, Aurum and Lacanine, Roostox is one. There's hundreds of these things. This is coming out cold, by the way. And you can end up with like your top 3. I would say it's top 7, but then you end up with your top 3. You want to give your top 1 and see how it works. So again, this is not medical advice. This is how I learned, and this is how it's done on me. And you want to do a certain dose. So the more diluted it is, the higher the number is. The lower diluted it is, like 30C, the lower dilution it is. And it's still diluted. There's a proving. If you get one that's close but it's not right, you'll exhibit the symptoms of that original thing. So if it's roost tox, which is poison oak, and you needed something similar to that, but your practitioner was like, oh, I looked it up and you're really close on these 2, try this one. If you get a proving, oh my gosh, you end up itchy and red, inflamed. I'm like, what happened? It's just a sugar pill. It's so-called a placebo, people call it. Like, oh, you need to antidote. Smell some camphor. Yeah, I'm talking just education. Smell some peppermint oil. And then now we're giving you the second one that I have on my chart. So, oh, the second one is working. Okay, we're going to note that. And what's weird about the provings is that I've had a proving at least once, and I was amazed. And I've had the remedy heal me. It doesn't work for everybody. We don't always do the book in the repertorization. It used to take me a week as a student to do repertorizations. I'm slow. You should be my doctor, who's been doing this for years and continues to go to classes, he'll do the repertorization, or in his mind, he'll go and get the remedy from his medicine room and administer it. Sometimes he thinks about it and sends it in the mail. But oftentimes he does that. So I got a little coin envelope so I could be like my teacher / doctor. Again, I want to do a good disclaimer. I am telling you what I've had done on myself or what I was trained to do. Hire your own provider to do your homeopathy. I know it's sold all over the counter. I feel like when I do the repertorization, or I have someone who's been taking the classes over and over for 50 years, I've seen it work on myself. I can't say it works. I don't know how it works. I can't say it will work on everybody else, or their kids, or their animals. But I definitely told myself, again, this is just education and information, that I needed to get the book again because, I had good experience as a provider with this book, and mine is not this old. The cover fell out. They just put it in a box, and the edges they just put it in a box with no, I'm pretty sure it got messed up in shipping, which I think I made a note about. We don't give a lot of credit to the people in India, but this book was written by Kent, MD, so a medical doctor, has the repertory, and I used the repertorization, so it says something about 1881/8. This one looks like it was printed in 1957. So this guy was born in 1849 and died in 1916. So he went from New York to end up in Montana. So it says copyright 1935 and then printed again in 1957. This doesn't have a lot of things in it. So say, I should do a whole nother one. So this one has mind stuff in the beginning, and it has head stuff. So say stomach. I think it's mirror image. So if I go on stomach and I just look at it, appetite, if it says increased, and then it breaks it down, noon, afternoon, evening, night, or alternating with loss of appetite. So it has all these different categories. So alternating with loss of appetite has AM, burb, calc, fair, iodine, phos, thuya. Thuya is the cedar. Ferrous is like iron, calc, burb. So we learned these in the class. Iodine, phosphorus, I don't even know what AM. So you look at those and you mark them down in your chart. So the FERR is bold and the first letter is uppercase. Sometimes there's a dot next to them. So that means it's like this is ding, ding, ding. So you're going to grade it. And I think it's like, I forget how my sheet is. I have some sheets. Anyways, you put them all down. So you want to get as specific as you can, because like the one with appetite increased hunger, it just has, it looks like 50 different remedies, and then it has about 12 or 15 that are uppercase and bold. And then you'll go, so abdomen, cough, back, extremities, sleep, perspiration, skin. I'm just flipping the generalities. That one's kind of you got to find what you got to find. So if you have all these traits I wrote down, I'd go through each one and hopefully have 10 or less remedies and then grade them. Like, I don't know. I have to look. And same thing when your patient's talking, if you're handwriting and they say they crave chocolate 3 times, it's like I underline it like 3 times. But if they say they don't like walking around barefoot, I might underline that because they said a couple times. And if they say, yeah, well, it's okay to go out in the rain, but I don't really like it, I might, oh, okay, let's underline that once. But if they say, hey, I don't like to get stuck in traffic, I don't like, cleaning for inspections, like these things that are kind of normal, I'll still write it, but I might not say that that's anything really specific to them. That's more like a lot of humans don't like that. So this again is my book that I have here, and my other one is the red one, or at least it has a red cover. I forget who the one that we all needed for school, which I believe was $225 for the one I used when I was in med school. This is not going to have like a lot of issues. They would potentially in the olden days think that being gay was ailment. Like there's different language. I don't have a brand new book. Again, I need to get either good online. I had an online source so I can look things up because I will use it for patients, and I wasn't advertising this, but I have got people on my list, on my kind of wait list waiting. So trying to be serious. And then speaking of homeopathy, if you want to go to the other end of the spectrum, since I'm here still, I have the Davis Drug Guide for Nurses. I'm not really able to afford the physician's one. This will have some herb and drug interactions. This will have some a lot of drug interactions. It has a few, not that many, natural medications. Everyone seems to like to talk about St. John's wort, so I think that's in there, but it doesn't have like several, like 400 botanical medicines in every kind of supplement. But it's definitely a start. I used one of those to study and cheat for I used it for in-person or open book test we had for the state test of Oregon. So just things like that. Washington State had I don't know, was it farm? It was open book. It was take home. Like you had to send in the answers, or I don't know how I sent that in. Anyway, so thinking about my resources as an integrative healthcare provider, and as a provider and a patient, what are my resources that I was trained to use or that I figured out how to use? What do I do when I take a week to do a mathematical problem? Or a day and whatever, more than an hour, okay? And am I able to charge $300 for that week of time? Because it's not just it's like the week was the time after I got the patient interview. And in my training, I did this shift a couple times at my medical school, grad school. The homeopathics was I'm gonna cry. The intake visit, the first visit, was expected to be 2 hours of talking and listening to the patient. And follow-ups were like an hour. Amazing. And my problem is that's how I do my regular intakes, is I get a constitution. I don't do 2 hours. I do 2 hours. I don't like it. The insurance is not paying for it. The patients get overwhelmed. But I like to get this full picture so that I can utilize that for integrative healthcare, not just, this book was written by an MD. Our first doctor, Dr. Taylor, was an MD. My second teacher, or I say doctor, my teacher at med school, the first was an MD, medical doctor. The second was an ND, but also acupuncturist, also a chiropractor. So you get a lot of different people that use this and write books and have people come back. So again, not giving any disclaimers. I had some improvement with somebody using this in one of my first patients in my Oregon office. I'm not saying that I hadn't had improvements before that, because I was a student on shift, or I was a patient, or my family members were patients. But going into practice and having the parent call and say, how'd you do that? What'd you do? Oh my gosh. This thing they never heard of that doesn't look like it's going to work. I like acupuncture. That's just me. Again, disclaimer, go to your healthcare provider, ask more questions to them, go to a specialist to get treatment. I'm not your doctor unless you hire me to be your doctor, and that's a whole nother story. But as far as the education and the information, I think you guys who are able to listen, I feel uncomfortable talking about medical things. That book, just holding it, makes me feel emotional. I had purchased a big kit of about 100 remedies. I was missing a couple. And, oh my god, I think the one that I was missing I actually have now, because I ended up needing it for something. Anyways, I bought this pack, and I felt this energy. I'm not bringing up any scientific data right now. I felt this energy that was very different than everyday energy, or even when the storms come in energy. So I want to let you guys know that I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. Maybe someone had a caffeine drink and I got a whiff of it. I don't think that's what happened. But I want to just tell you, there's things that we don't know, or we do know, or we don't know personally, but other humans know in this world, that we don't know where our path will bring us. In closing, I would like to let you know that I'm going to be checking on my food, my laundry. I'm going to be doing some stuff for my eBay store. I hope. I do have some billing. Obviously, that's a good place to be. Obviously, I have billing to do. I really want to let you guys know that there's all these places in the world that I want to go and bring my expertise in the field that I work in to people. Or better yet, I want to be able to actually have an office where people come to me, but I go to them, or even here where I am, even in my original clinic. I want to do this work. And it helped to talk to you guys about this and feel emotional about just this opportunity. This is an opportunity. When I needed to prescribe meds to have someone pick up at the pharmacy, I did it. I did it. When I had all the tools in the toolbox, I was able to use the tool that was going to work for this individual situation. That's what I want. Someone asked me, what do I bring to the table? When I call someone, can I deliver births with you? Can I do this? Oh, can I shadow you? What am I bringing to the table? What am I bringing to the table if I want to make friends? What am I bringing to the table if I wanted people to hire me? So I tend to keep stuff hidden. Oh, no, I don't know anything. Oh, no. And then people think, this lady, we waste our time and money. But then the people that stick and stay, they're like, oh, wow. How'd you do that? Things could change. Blessings. All of us in this world did not wake up this morning. What can we do today to do some self-care? What can we do today that involves us needing to find physical and mental health and spiritual health in our own lives, so that we can be who the universe and our higher powers want us to be? Because it's not easy. There's snowstorms, there's heat, there's increased prices, there's disparity, there's racism, there's ableism, sexism, povertyism, single parentism. There's so many things if we wanted to go out and just walk along the beach right now and just be grateful that the sun's shining and that we're alive and able to breathe the air and watch the seagulls come in, why is it that some people feel they can do that and bring their kids to the beach and people don't mess with them? Why do some of us do that and someone calls the police and people on the neighborhood next door of a public place say, hey, you're not allowed to come here? What can we do to enjoy our lives? What can we do when we have disabilities and they're not necessarily visible and people criticize you? What do you do with that criticism? That's not wanted and it's not anyone's business. They don't need, I mean, those words are not, they don't need to talk. If you hire somebody, tax professional, and you do something weird with your taxes and they say, well, we really need to, not do this, or we need to do something better, or we need to keep the receipts, if you hire someone that tell you to do something, that's one thing, but not people on the street. So what are we going to do with the energy that we have? Like science, you want to talk science? I've done a lot of science. Oh, this is kind of woo-woo. What kind of science? Potential and kinetic energy of objects, inanimate objects that are not living tissues, but then like physics and chemistry, organic chemistry, rocks and humans still have certain properties, and we utilize these inanimate things for housing or for pollution, or not pollution, erosion measures and supplements. The earth has this in it and the plants absorb it, and now we have these minerals in our food. Eating something like an onion, why is it all sulfur inside? Like, what is the connection? And what can we do when you go out and you're limping out in the street with crutches on, and every car, you're in the middle of the crosswalk, a block away, the light turns from red to green and people just mash on their gas. And it's a crosswalk between two streetlights, and the next light up is red, and they mash your gas, and they're this close from hitting you, and you run out of the way. What kind of energy is that? Why is it if you go to a farmer's market and you get some fresh fruits and vegetables, or you go straight to the farm and they just picked it that morning, why is there this feeling of aliveness? Or like it happened to me yesterday, I ate a bunch of like fast food, raw food that I got, these entrees and meals. Why is it that I wanted to go to bed? Why is it that I felt sick? There's all these things, and maybe it's not, energy is not the right word to use. But what can we do to help ourselves so that we can glow? We can get our own glowing from within and radiate it out. Not everybody wants to do that. But if you guys, this is a long video, if you guys got to this point, then please write in the comments what you feel, or is there a life purpose, or is there something that says, I don't have the education, they're hiring the supervisor position at my job, it's been vacant for several months, I've worked here for 10 years. Where's that energy to say, hey, why don't you apply for that job? Maybe not. Maybe you say, hey, I want to work here for one more year and then go and do sailing classes in Key West, or snorkeling classes, or, open up a fudge shop somewhere outside a zoo somewhere. But if you're working like where my job, where you're at $12 an hour, you're going to do another year there for $12 an hour. You're going to go there and get $85,000 for a year to help pay for your house and your equipment and your trip or your travels. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's just like we think, oh, I can do that. Oh, I'm not going to be here. I don't want to do that to them. Have them train me. Well, you never know what happens. Maybe you'll get laid off. Maybe the company closes a year and you'll be like, oh, now I have money in my account instead of the $12 an hour. When you have $12 an hour in your account versus somebody who makes $150, $250 an hour. When I work as a doctor and I'm getting $80 or $100 an hour, MD or nurse practitioner or a therapist is getting, $30 to $150 more per hour from me or than me with the same codes, but not necessarily the same type of care and not necessarily all this research after hours looking at this 1,000-something page book and typing in orders and listing all their meds and saying what to avoid and when to take, what time of day to take these meds that your other prescriber provided or blah blah blah. So I feel really sad right now, guys. But I've got work to do. Enjoy your day. Peace.